Ooh, that looks fun.
So we're back with my buddy Mike. I was trying to take a steering column with a 56 and I failed. So we're gonna salvage it by filming another video. So people are always asking me where I get my cars, what I look for in cars, all those sort of things. So I figured I'd give you a little rundown because I got a little bit of everything here. Now, I mean, the number one places to look, obviously, Facebook has changed the game. I think that's huge, Facebook Marketplace. For the old folks, if you go into, you know, the old pin-up boards and stuff like that, that's huge, right? So if you do those things as well. Also, if you get a bit of a reputation like I do with Tri-Fives, people find you with cars.
Want ads.
Want ads are a big one as well. This car found me, the 56. I was looking for a set of doors, found it. This Model A I knew about for a long time. And the guy needed money, so he called me. You know, it's always good to have cash in your sock drawer.
Build relationships.
Build some relationships. And this was, the guy sent me another car, and this happened to be there as well, so I looked at it. That's how it goes. But, so I figured I'd show you kind of what to look for in cars. Now, first you have to assess your own skill level and decide where you're at, how much you want to do, and all that. Now, obviously, a beginner in, I think a very complete car is key. So that's where this 57 Chevy comes in. So you have to decide a budget and all that stuff. So this car was, I think, $1,000, which I think, I mean, if you can't afford $1,000, sorry, you can't get a hot rod. That's just how it is. Now, in the $1,000 range,
that's the cheapest it's gonna be.
It's not getting much cheaper, right? For a complete car. Now, you have to realize, you know, the Challengers, the Camaros, the Chevelles, the two-doors, you're not getting those for $1,000. Sorry guys, it's just that ain't the way it's gonna be. This is where you're gonna start. Now this car here, no motor, no trans. It's a 57 150 base model, but it's complete other than the motor and trans. And that's the stuff you gotta look for. All the little things, I mean, like the little spears, the bumpers, the, you know, the grill, taillights, headlights, whatever it may be, the trim, because you can spend, I mean, the trim, like the windshield trim, this is like $100. You know what I mean? So then if you got front and back trim missing, that's $200. You need a bumper, it's $100. Next thing you know, your $1,000 car isn't a $1,000 car anymore. So that's, I think, key. Now the next thing you want to do, if you're a beginner and you're just getting into it, obviously rust is another issue. Now this one looks decent on the outside, the floors are rotten out of it. So this is like an intermediate, I would, you know, kind of say. It could be patched and all those things, and depending on what your state or province laws are, it could be a lot easier. Here, it's pretty strict. So this car will be getting a full floor pan. There's no way around it. I would recommend paying up a little bit for something that's more solid, less rust, and mechanically needs work. That's not hard. I mean, a motor, transmission, brakes, suspension, all those things, nuts and bolts. Even if you've never done it before, you can figure it out, YouTube it, do whatever. When it comes to putting in floors or welding in patches and all that, it's doable, and I think everyone should get out there and do it. But you don't want to start off there if you don't kind of know what you're doing. You'll get frustrated, and a guy like me will knock on your door, and I'll take that car from you for way less than you paid for it, and that sucks. I always feel bad about doing that. I never feel bad about doing that. So, I mean, again, it's a four-door. This is a very plain car. Now this thing obviously isn't going to stay a four-door for me. I'm going to do another video on this thing. I'll probably do it today actually, but I got plans for it. But if you're a, you know, 16-year-old kid or 18 or whatever it is, or just getting into it at 72, who cares? You know, a four-door hot rod at this point, I think looks cool. Some cars look better than others. I think Tri-Fives look fantastic as four doors. 70 Chevelle, nah, not so much. But that's the gist of it. A complete car that's fairly rust-free, and go for it. This car I saw, well, it got sent to me a zillion times. I went and looked at it. I bought it the same day, and we picked it up. That next day, we were here the other day filming all the cars, and this is like my 4th time seeing this car since I bought it. So it's fairly complete inside, like I said. It needs a little bit of love, but little things like all the dashes there, the steering wheel, the horn button, a seat. Seats are expensive. Bucket seats are ridiculous. But this one, I mean, even just a Tri-Five bench seat, the one I put in your car, the 57, when I first got it, I think I paid $100 for it. That was like a deal. Window cranks, all those little things, it's all available. But when you're paying new, you end up really paying up, which is a pain in the ass. and hard to find used. And I think for myself, putting brand new, oh god, the chickens are out. Putting brand new parts in an old car, I think looks terrible. So I think this is a perfect start car for somebody. It's mine. You're not taking it. Now this Challenger, so this is a good, another example. So this car I bought, now I paid up, but this came with two Challengers. One Challenger is completely rotted out, but this is obviously, well, maybe it's not, it was a race car. This is a race car in the 80s. So the nice thing about it, very solid. Solid frame, solid torque boxes, like no rust in the whole car, which was awesome. It had some quarter panel work done at some point, but really it's mint. The only real problem it has is a barn. It was in a barn and the barn collapsed on it. So this quarter was a little unhappy. So me and Mur pushed it out. It's got a big dent right here, which is a pain. It's definitely a little rusty in the, I'm sure if we took the vinyl top off, it wouldn't be the greatest. Now, because it was a race car, the deck lid's been gutted. Like there's nothing to it. There's no anything there. Same with the hood. But really, it's got a roll cage in it. There's no interior. So that's a pain. So now you buy this car, you're all happy with it, but it had one racing bucket in it. It had no headlights, no taillights, no bumpers. Like it had all sorts of stuff like that. So you need a parts car. So this, again, solid car, but know what you want to do. There's no gauges in this thing. So I have a gauge cluster for it, but I put in a GPS tack and stuff like that. It's got an ugly ratchet shifter. These are the seats ahead of the parts car. It's kind of ugly, but these are all things you're gonna have to deal with. And if it's like this was like a bracket car, but some real race cars, I mean, they have plastic windows and Lexan, and I mean, now to try and source all those things out is a pain. The nice thing about this thing though, still had a VIN number and a title. That's a big part of buying an old race car. But yeah, like I said, all the headlights, the grill, all that I had to put in. Now, the problem with this car, yeah, it's got no latches, no nothing like that. So it's doable. It's got this giant 440 in it, which is so racy, it's unbelievable. Like it's almost undrivable. I got it last year. I didn't even drive it, hardly at all. I got on the road just enough, but I mean, it's line lock, manual valve body, high stall. I mean, it has to run, I put avgas in it, like 110. It won't run nice. It's loud, it's rowdy, it's obnoxious, it's awesome. But if you want to have a driver, this ain't the car for you. It's not the car for me either, but I see down payment on a home right here when I look at it. But whatever, we'll get on the road, we'll drive it a little bit. So this is like another project. So I bought this. This is literally what you see is what I got. I got a body. So it's a Model A body, 3031. It's 5-window. It had a chop was started on it, and I finished it just to weld it, tack it together, so it would remain a car. So it's got a set of frame rails. It's got the suspension. It's got a rear end. I have a flathead and stuff like that. But this is a project. I'm gonna get to it eventually. The problem I have is I have to learn how to do these. I've never done like a Model A like this. And I want to do it right. I have a vision in my head as to what I want it to look like. So this is I'm gonna say like an expert level, or whatever you want to call it. You gotta have a lot of patience, a lot of fabricating your own parts, making stuff work, all those sort of things. So this is like a long-term little duck jerky up there, goose jerky. But once, you know, the goal is once we get a bigger shop, I want this to sit in the corner. I want to kind of pick at it here and there. I don't think this is going to be a build I'm just going to dive into and go. I might make it a roller, do stuff like that. Might kind of come and go on the channel. But this is, it was cheap. It had a lot of good parts on it. But if you want a driver, buy one that's more together. These actually aren't my cars. These are my buddy Mike's. So he's got a, I think like 78, 79 Monte Carlo and a Cutlass. Now what he's going to do, his plan is, so the Monte, the body is mint, it's a high option car, it's nice, power windows, all that kind of junk, but the rear frame rails are rotted. And this one is, you know, beater, it's all rotted up the sides, quarters full of plastic. It's rotted up in the firewall, I guess the window leaked. So it's pretty rough, but it's got a really solid frame. So he's going to swap swap frames and probably scrap this car, sell it for parts type thing. Again, it's a pretty big job. This is his. You guys all love this thing. It's like a 49 or a 50, I don't know, Ford, four-door. Flathead in it. He traded something for it. His plan is to get it on the road at some point. I keep hassling him. I want to make it a two-door. It needs floor work. It's got a flathead in it that's seized. But again, this is kind of the equivalent to the 57. I think he bought a car for like $500 or something like that, and then traded it for this. So this is like a, you know, $500, $800 car, however you want to look at it, something like that. It's very complete inside. It has a motor and trans, like I said. This was a running driving car that someone just stopped driving and then sat for however many years, and could easily be brought back to life in my mind. And stuff's made for these, like you can get all the parts and whatever. So I guess that's another, you know, thing is pick a car that parts availability are like Danny right now wants a Gremlin, which is awesome, and we're trying to work a deal on one. But you look at the parts availability for a Gremlin and it's nothing. So it doesn't matter how good the deal of the car is, if you don't have the skills to fabricate floor pans or fender patches or whatever it is, they're worthless. They're just going to sit there, and again, a guy like me is going to come up there and rip you off.
Or find you a guy like a Dan.
Yeah, a Dan will show up with a trailer and $80 and it's gone. Now this thing here, so this was on the channel last year in the fall. So 56 Chevy, two-door sedan. I paid $300 for this car.
You paid $300?
I paid $300 and Danny gave me the money back for my birthday. She's special. So this is the classic want ad. I had a want ad out. I was looking for a set of two-door doors because I was going to convert something. I don't know what. And maybe I just had a want ad out. I couldn't tell you. A guy sends me a message, says, "Yeah, I got a set of doors." All right, yeah. He says, "The only problem is they're attached to a car." And I'm thinking, okay, well, what do you want? He said, "Well, I don't know, we'll talk about it, but like $500 is kind of what he wanted for the whole car." And I was, well, because I was thinking the car's gonna be trashed and I'm gonna spend $500 on a set of doors, which was too much money for me. Anyways, I go look at it, and obviously I've done a lot of work to the car, but it was a 56 two-door post. This fender or quarter panel was crinkled bad, which I put a new panel in. The floors were rotted. The rockers were non-existent. The fenders, the brow caps were mangled, but otherwise it was fairly complete. There's no interior, no seats, no door panels. It was some glass was in it, but some was missing. Had some of the trim, and we ended up coming with a deal of $300. The trunk floor was mint, so I brought her home. A lot of labor went into this, and I had a lot of tri-fi parts to make it kind of a roller and stuff like that. It had just junk wheels on it and all that, but so I bought it for $300, put a floor in it, rockers, quarters. So we probably have like, I don't know, a couple of grand worth of sheet metal. I rebuilt the whole front end, switched over to disc brakes, you know, all that sort of stuff. I then put a motor I had in it, which I want to take out actually. Because the plan with this one is I was going to build it and all that, and then I just decided, nah, it's not for me. It's, well, what really happened is I bought that wagon, I bought the 56 wagon. I wanted, I mean, like an idiot, 567, because I'm that guy. And so I bought this, and then the wagon came up just like a few months later or something like that. And I was like, I've always wanted a wagon, happened to be a 56, no need for a sedan. And I didn't know how I was going to build this thing because I got the 55 like kind of a gasser. We got the wagon, which is going to be its cruiser. We've got Danny's car LS swap. There's just no need for this. So again, this would have been a pretty solid car. I mean, it needs work. This one wasn't as complete as the 57 by far, but it was a two-door. And but this one with no trim, that's nightmare. And another thing is you got to do your research, because 55 and 57 stuff way easier to find than 56. They don't reproduce a lot of 56 stuff. So like headlight bezels, the grill, all that sort of stuff, like these pieces here, like it's missing one, is non-existent. Luckily the front clip is the same on a 4-door as a 2-door, so that's fine. The real expensive trim is the trim here and here, and that's where it gets a little bit pricey, but it's all available. This car actually I tracked all the trim down, which was nice. Found a guy who happened to have it and paid up a little bit, but I got everything I wanted. So that's kind of how I look at cars for like a buyer's guide. You gotta decide, obviously the more money you spend, the more the better the car is going to be, right? Which is what you kind of want. You know, it is what it is. Fortunately, I always look at my labor as very inexpensive, free. So you buy a rougher car and you can spend time welding and doing this and doing that, and you end up with a car in the end. But if I ever factored my hours into this thing, I would never make a profit. I mean, like a shop, I don't know what they're charging, 75 bucks an hour. Well, obviously I'm not worth that, but if you ever do the math, you'll kill yourself. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, kind of like, you know, if you're looking at these old hot rods.
We should have brought a picnic.
Yeah. But so that's my little tidbit. That's what I think when you're buying for cars. Decide your skill level. Don't just fall in love with one car or whatever it is. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. Trying to find something that's more original, that hasn't been messed with. Like this 56, it was the original paint, all the original body panels, but rotted. Just like this. This is an original, original car. It hasn't been effed with. And that's what you want to buy. The second they're kind of fluffed up and painted and all those things, it's kind of ugly. Like honestly, this car, I mean, it's in primer, it's all those things. People would think that a lot is being hidden on it, and they're 100% right. The part I have is a zillion pictures in the videos, so I can show what was done to it. So be aware if you're gonna go buy something in primer, what's it hiding, how much filler is in it, all those sort of things. But I guess we're gonna leave that little video there. I actually, I'm gonna go talk about my 57 there, because I got big plans on that. I know we didn't show much about it, but I got an idea for you. You're gonna like that video. All right, see you guys later.